If you're in a place where it is appropriate, safe, and comfortable for you to do so, please close your eyes and take some long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering your body and your mind. And with every exhale, feel like you're able to just let go and drop away all tension from your body and anything that you do not want from your mind. Inhaling light and peace and exhaling as you let go. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is a light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it safely and easily burns away everything that is unlike itself, leaving us serene. Into this sacred space, we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a god and goddess, a mother and father. Into this sacred space, we also invite the presence of our angels, our teachers, our guides. We dedicate the time that we spend together to one another and to them. And we ask that we be guided as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more peaceful, more wise, more gentle, and more loving people. Thank you very much. And if it's appropriate for you to do so, out loud you can join me in saying the words, "Blessed be." I'd like to continue our discussion of the different qualities of spirit. And today I'd like to discuss the quality of spirit known as soul. In the Angel Magic course, you'll notice that soul is associated with the Archangel Gabriel and the moon. The idea of the soul is the idea of individuation. So infinite intelligence extending itself as you. If you look up the word individual in the dictionary, you'll notice that it's become defined as the opposite of what it means. A lot of times individual has come to mean separate. But if you break the word down, it means the same thing as indivisible. That means not separate. If you think about who you are as an individual soul, you'll recognize that you are so unique, that you are utterly unique, and that there's nobody else like you, and there never has been and there never will be. At the same time, as an extension of infinite intelligence, you are one with all that is. So both are true at the same time. You are unique, unlike anything or anybody else, and at the same time, you're one with everybody else. It's as an ego that we are just like everybody else. And the ego is always striving to carve out its own little separate universe. And it doesn't seem to ever accomplish much except for making a lot of noise and problems for us. And the ego, while wanting to carve out its own separate universe for itself, is constantly criticizing ourselves and each other because they are different. That whole concept of the other comes from the ego. Because you'll see that from infinite intelligence's point of view, there is only perfection. And who you are as a unique individual soul is perfect. And your function is unique. And your place here is unique. And without you here, something would be missing. But it's impossible for anything to be missing in the mind of infinite intelligence. And therefore, your unique self is exactly where it needs to be. But the ego likes to create divisiveness, division, and separation. And so it looks at anything unique and attacks it as being something that's bad or wrong. So the ego, for all its desire to carve out a separate universe for itself, can't stand anything that's unique and individual. It's anathema to the ego to have anything or anybody be unique or individual. And so we can see the ego in action in ourselves and in others when we are critical of anything about ourselves or others that seems to be unique and different and special. Because it's the specialness of it that the ego doesn't like. Because the ego wants to be special, and the ego can't be special. The ego craves specialness, and it can't be special because the ego isn't real. So the best thing it can do is to create discord, is to create conflict, is to create distractions from the reality and the truth about who and what it is, and that is nothing. The ego's main tool that it trades in is problems, especially problems that seem unsolvable. And it has us convinced that our problems are very special. When in reality, there's nothing special about our problems. Our problems are just like everybody else's problems. Everybody's problems are very ordinary. And it's the hiding of our uniqueness that is the ego's main game. And it does that by making us think we're special regarding our problems. That's all a distraction from us understanding and realizing who we really are and what our function here is as souls. Ultimately, our function as souls is to create, to be creative. We are here to be just like infinite intelligence. Makes sense, doesn't it? Let's call it God for a minute, even though that's a dirty word around, around witchcraft circles. But let's do it anyway. So if we think of God as being the creator of all that is, and again, God being pre-gender, so not necessarily a daddy figure, but let's say that infinite intelligence as God does create everything, and you are an extension of infinite intelligence. It just makes logical sense, if you think about it, that you're creative too. Right? A cat doesn't give birth to a fish. So infinite intelligence gives birth to infinite intelligence. So who you are is a creative being, and you can create just like God does. That's not blasphemy. That's not arrogance. It's arrogant to say, oh, I can't create like God. Because the blasphemy there is that God messed up. That God did something stupid, that God just doesn't have it in himself to make something that is creative, or that God is like what we read in the Bible, a jealous God. I'm going to create you to be my slave, and you cannot ever reach the heights of who I am because I'm jealous. I'm covetous of you. Let's just look at things logically and rationally for a moment. Infinite intelligence extends itself as you. And then what are you supposed to do? Extend yourself. And there's this never-ending chain of creation. And it's a loving act. You are extended out of infinite love. That's what soul is. But then all of your creations are extensions of you as well. And you know that you're on the beam of creation when you get lost in it. Right? When you're being creative, you don't remember what time looks like anymore. You are transported into a place that is beyond time, beyond distance, beyond life and death. When you're in that creative zone, you know what that feels like. When you're in that creative zone, you are creating just like God. Maybe your creation is a song. Maybe your creation is a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter how it looks in this world. If you are creating like infinite intelligence, you are functioning as your soul. You are a creative being. And you're here to create. That's what you're here to do. And you'll know exactly what to create because you're following your own unique impulses as a soul. Your soul impulses are very different than your ego impulses. Ego impulses are lusts, and you know that those lusts oftentimes are distractions. They're not bad. I mean, that whole idea of sex is bad or money's bad or food is bad, all of those ideas that physical lusts are bad, no, not at all. They're not bad. They're just distractions if they are something that the ego is using to move your attention away from your function as a soul. So those kinds of ego impulses are, after a while, very easy to spot. And you can say, there's nothing wrong with loving cheesecake. There's nothing wrong with loving sex. There's nothing wrong with those things, with enjoying those things. But when the ego gets a hold of those things, it uses them to find a way to carve out a separate universe for yourself that, for all intents and purposes, disconnects you from your own creativity, from your own impulses, because you're so busy trying to satisfy your ego lusts. But your soul's impulses, your soul's desires are very different. And you know the difference. Everybody knows the difference between being involved in a creative act versus wasting their time chasing after ego lusts. Everybody knows the difference between that. The problem is that these old ancient craft concepts got co-opted by different kinds of religious dogma and turned them into, you're an evil sinner if you have any kind of carnal desires. That's not it at all. It's not that any kind of carnal desires makes you an evil sinner. It means that when the ego gets a hold of those things, because that's the only thing the ego can get a hold of, those carnal desires, it uses them as a means for wasting your time and wasting your attention and pulling you away from your soul. And that can only happen in time, and it can only happen for a while. From our point of view, it can happen for lifetime after lifetime. It can seem like forever. But from the soul's point of view, it's just an instant. It's a momentary lapse and falling asleep, taking a little nap, and then waking up and getting back to work. So we can avoid wasting a lot of time here by just understanding who we are as souls are creative. We are here for very important reasons. And this world has us snowed, has us convinced that we're nothing, that we're just nothing, that we're not important. It always likes to put other personalities on pedestals as, this is what a great person is. And you're nothing like that, so therefore you can't be great. That's that whole compare and despair phenomenon. So you know that the ego is tempting you away from your soul's work if you're constantly comparing yourself against other people. Because then what the ego has then is it has you in that position of, you're not very important. So what does it matter if you're creative? So let's get busy doing these other things. Let's get busy either trying to gratify our bodily desires or protect ourselves from our bodily pains. So let's get really involved in survival. Let's get really involved in anything other than our soul's journey. And if you look at stories from all different cultures, there's always been these great people that accomplished a lot. And what those people did was follow their soul's dictums and not their egos. And what we notice happens when we start following what our soul is craving, what our soul is indicating to us is our work here, which means our own creative impulses, that all the things that we need are provided for us. Everything we need is provided for us. All of our needs are met at every moment of time and point of space. We want for nothing. And people that see things like that happening, at least in the past, attack people like that. Because who are you to have all of your needs met? Who are you to be successful? Who are you to have all of these great things? So when you see great people that have great contributions to humanity, oftentimes they are met with a lot of resistance by those around them. So that's just an indication of how the ego operates. He wants to shut this stuff down immediately. Well, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about being attacked. You don't have to worry about any of that because your soul knows exactly what it's doing, and infinite intelligence has your back. And you can prove this to yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. The more you start to listen to and obey, if you will, your own creative impulses, and you get on track with doing the work that you came here to do, and you know what that work is based on what we talked about earlier. What is it that you lose all sense of time in doing? What is it that you lose all sense of space when you're involved in? When you start engaging in those things, notice how everything starts to work out for you. Notice how things start to work out for you and things change for your benefit. That's a very important occult mystery right there. And the ego has stories about people who were persecuted in its arsenal as cautionary tales to have you avoid following your heart's desire. So, oh, you don't want to do that. Look what happened to this person. Look what happened to that person. Look what happened to this person. But again, compare and despair. Just because somebody got burned at the stake ages ago for following their heart's desire doesn't mean that you're in danger. But the ego wants you to believe that. Just because somebody died in abject poverty, being an artist is what the ego will use as a reason why you shouldn't follow your own desire to be an artist. But you see, those things that happened to those people weren't because they were following their heart's desires. It was their own ego that was going up against the egos of other people. That was their own drama. So the ego can only point to other egos as, like I said, cautionary tales as to why you shouldn't follow your desires. It can only point to their ego issues as a means to distract you from that. But it wasn't their soul that caused them problems. It was their ego. And the same thing for you. It's not your soul that causes you problems. It's your ego. Because that's all the ego's got. It's the only thing it's got is problems. But if you're turning to your soul, your problems are divinely outmatched. You can take that same soul energy and solve any problem with it. We've seen this again and again and again in high magic and in psalm magic and angel magic and any other kind of magic that's using these principles of these ideas that the soul is the individuation of infinite intelligence and has specific functions to fulfill and is divinely outmatched and cannot be touched, cannot be harmed. We talked about divine spirit as that which cannot be destroyed. Soul is an extension of that. So you as a soul also are very safe. You cannot be harmed. And don't be afraid of fulfilling your soul's function because your ego says, ooh, that's dangerous. It's dangerous to be an individual. Ooh, no, you don't want to be an individual. You want to melt into everybody else. You want to be just like everybody else because that's safe. Look at what happens to people when they're individuals. They're persecuted. Nothing good happens out of that. So don't even go there. It's a lie. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. So what we have to do is allow ourselves to get in touch with, and this is something that you have to do on a daily basis. This is something that you have to do consciously and through things like meditation. Get in contact daily with that part of your mind that's not ruled by your ego, that's not ruled by all of those tapes in your head. That is where you calm your body and calm your mind and you quiet everything and you listen in silence and you'll know exactly where to go and what to do and how to get there because your soul knows exactly what it's doing and how to do it in a way that's very safe, that's completely safe and completely untouchable because that's who you are. Is untouchable. So a lot of people that are looking for things like protection spells and protection amulets, those are fine. Those things are fine. But ultimately your protection amulet is your soul itself. Following your soul's journey is how you stay safe. So don't let your ego convince you that's the dangerous place to be. The dangerous place to be is listening to the ego. The dangerous place to be is not being in touch with your soul, is not allowing yourself to be the individual that you are. You are like nobody else on this planet. In past, present, or future, There's nobody like you. And without you, we would be lacking. You're just as important as Beethoven. We would be missing something very important if it wasn't for Beethoven, but we would be missing something equally as important if it wasn't for you. You're just as important as Mother Teresa. You're just as important as Jesus. You're just as important as any other individual that you might put up on a pedestal as this is a great person. It's true that they may have accessed their soul better than you have thus far, but that doesn't mean that their soul shines any brighter, nor that their soul has any more important function to fulfill. And not everybody's function is to be famous. That's the other thing. Fame has nothing to do with it. Just because some people are famous at doing what they did and they go down in history, we think that means that they made a bigger difference. And that's not at all true. And that's not how soul works. You touch the people you're supposed to touch. You reach the people that you're supposed to reach. You heal the people that you're supposed to heal. And the only way that you can do that is not by going out and being a healer. I'm going to now go out and heal. I'm now going to go out and spread a message. No, you do it by contacting that individual soul that you are and allowing your mind to be filled with that and allow the mission of your soul to move through your mind and allow it to inform your personality and inform your body and inform your goals and inform all of those things that you have going on in this life, rather than the ego mind, which is nothing but a device of separation that you somehow bought into. We all bought into at some point, because the ego wants you to think that separate is individual, but it's not. Separate is not individual. Connected is individual. And your unique self was not created by you. It is an extension of God themselves. That's right. You are here straight from Source, because Source loves you so much. And, you know, you can take that line from the New Testament, because God so loved the world, whatever, only begotten Son. That's you. God loved the world, so God extended itself as you. You're a gift to the world. You are literally God's gift to the world. That's who you are. You are literally God's gift to the world. You are literally the light of the world. That's who you are, in your own unique, wonderful way that nobody else will ever fulfill but you. And if it wasn't for you, what would we do? We would be missing something. But luckily, infinite intelligence never misses. Can't be missing anything. Infinite intelligence is always perfect, is always complete, and that includes you. And it's up to you whether you use your own God-given power of free will to say yes to your function or not. That's completely up to you. But ultimately you are going to, because you can't help but be yourself. But you can delay. You can delay for lifetime after lifetime, and your ego will give you all kinds of reasons why you can't do it. And it's usually that you don't have time, or it's usually that you don't have money, or it's usually that you're not good enough, or you're guilty of something, or whatever it can throw at you. And I'll tell you, infinite intelligence does not care one bit about your reasons. Loves you anyway, and it's just waiting for you to fulfill your function. If everybody started, or even if a few more people started to really fulfill their functions as souls, it would create such a wave of determination over the soul of humanity that we would wake up and we would say, what are we doing? And everything would change. And that's the esoteric understanding of the second coming of Christ. It's not that some dude is coming back. Christ is you, right? You're the light. You're the one. But it's you individually, uniquely as you. And you're going to inspire other people to be uniquely individual as they. And as everybody does that, we start living what we call our true will. And your true will is how your soul functions uniquely. And as we all do that, we all heal. And we allow ourselves to be healed by allowing ourselves to be healers. It happens simultaneously. And as that happens, there's this sort of, like I said, this wave of determination that takes over. This wave of determination that takes over the soul of humanity. And we do all wake up. So no matter how bad you think things are in the world, that's not anything other than the world asking for more of you. For more of you being you. Not living in fear, not hiding your light under a bushel, but you saying, yes, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to be the best self I can be, and I'm going to be this creative being that I was created to be. And I'm eternal. I'm essential. And you know what? That is the height of humility. That's the height of humility. What's arrogant is, oh, I'm just me. And oh, isn't this world horrible? And there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's arrogant. That's arrogant. So let's get humble again and recognize that each and every one of us is the light of the world. Each and every one of us is the essential key that unlocks the wisdom of humanity. And that we are here as very essential, important souls. And that when we hide from our function, we are robbing this world of a piece of light that it needs. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.